Okay guys, good morning. So, we will now proceed to the mobile application topic. Under sa mobile application, we have the unit 2, the styling mobile page or pages with CSS. So here, on this lesson, CSS was discussed. Like on lesson 4, it's all about on the introduction to CSS. I know you have already learned the CSS, but we are going to discuss about this CSS. Why this CSS is very important. So here in the CSS, it was mentioned that it is used to design for your HTML. As we know, without the CSS, your HTML is parang walang kabuhay-buhay. It's like make-up kung sa babae pa na, parang siya yung make-up sa babae para magkaroon ng beauty. So that's the essence of the CSS. Okay. So I know all of these are self-explanatory. So all of that lesson are self-explanatory. So we will proceed now to your questions about this lesson 4 or the topic about introduction to CSS. Okay. So first question is about from Jan Cesar Soy Baguio. The question is, what is the importance of CSS in making web pages? So who can answer that question from the group? So I repeat, the question is, what is the importance of CSS in making web pages? Sige daw.
Sa design, sir.
Okay, so
Design.
what else? Aside from design. Eliza, any idea on that question?
Style sa web page.
Style sa web pages or sa web page. So here on the question of John, so as we can see, CSS is very important since parang kung sa tingin natin sa website natin ngayon sa mga web development, mas mainganyo yung tao na magamit sa mga application or visit into a website if there is a design. Kasi more on more on ano tawag dyan, yung parang interface. Although, mas better pa rin yung yung functionality. Pero mas maganda na yung functionality plus the interface. Kasi may mga program na maganda yung functionality but yung interface is pangit. So, kasama yun siya. So, that's the importance of the CSS to give beauty or to give appealing application or web page to the client. So, CSS is the solution for that. So, that's why CSS is very important. You are in the web development or web application development or in the mobile application development using HTML5. So you need to learn the CSS. So that's why the CSS is very important in making web pages. Okay, so we will proceed to the second question. The second question is gikan kay Ivan. So ang question ni Ivan, what is the difference between CSS and the CSS3? So, ano sa difference sa CSS and CSS3? Ano ang pangutana ni Ivan? You can answer. Sige daw.
Sir.
Yes, sige, Jericho.
So, ang CSS, sir, is the basic version and it does not support responsive design. So, sa CSS3, sir, kay the latest and support responsive design, bali updated siya, sir, isa sa CSS.
Yes, very good. What else? Eliza.
Ano sa difference sa CSS and CSS3?
Yes po.
Ang medyo up ano? More updated ang CSS.
It's updated. In other words, how about you, Jan? Si Jan. Jan, CSS and CSS3.
Siguro sir, na dagdagan na siya features.
Yes, very good. There are features, new features. So actually, that's the CSS and CSS3. There are, kumbaga, features. Tama ito yung Rizway Baguio na bagong features na nabutan sa CSS3. It's like HTML, HTML5. There are new features and also yung mga pwede na itong mabuhat na kaning design within CSS3 na wala pa sa CSS2. So, kumbaga, upgrade version. So, tama po itong ingon ni Eliza na updated version. So, very, very good. So, that's the difference between the CSS and the CSS3. But, yung CSS3, guys, yung mga backward na mga pwede nating magawa dun sa CSS is still nandun sa CSS3. So, kumbaga, it's an updated version lang ng CSS yung CSS3. Okay. So, next question is from Wilgin. So, the question of Wilgin, is it possible to put directly a JavaScript into CSS? Possible daw, bubutang daw JavaScript into CSS. So, any idea? Possible ba na bubutang daw JavaScript dito diretso sa CSS? Any idea?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Si Jan, si Sar? No? How about you, Eliza? Ikaw ang break sa ako.
No, sir.
No. So, si Jericho, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ako, sir.
Balikan ta ka, Jericho. Why yes?
Basahan ako sa Google, sir.
Basahan mo sa Google. Unsang reason? What's the reason behind? Sige daw.
Use a separate script files, sir, which happen to correspond to the CSS files you use.
Correspond to okay.
The CSS files.
Nadia mo ang na-search.
Yes, sir.
Sige daw is share screen now. Sige, share screen mo ang search na pa. Okay. Sige, paki-share screen.
Yes, sir.
Hindi ko klaro. So the answer is you can, but you really ought not to. Instead, use separate script files which happen to correspond to the CSS file you use. Okay. So in other words, you can have the JavaScript on your CSS. But in our side as a developer, parang mahirap. Why?
Complicated, sir.
It's very complicated because the CSS has a file na .css and JavaScript ang iyang kuan is .js. Although on HTML, guys, we can combine. Pwede na to kung sa HTML pwede ta mo combine na isahon na nato ang ato ang code. I-share mo na yung screen ko. Isahon na nato ato ang code na naa sa HTML tanan. Within HTML, nandoon yung JavaScript natin, nandoon yung CSS natin. So, ang idea doon na pwede siya because doon sa CSS mo, ilagay yung JavaScript mo. Pwede yan siya. But it's really complicated. So, the standard talaga, pag mag-code ka, it should be separate yung CSS file and separate yung JavaScript mo or ang JavaScript mo is within your HTML. So that's the standard. Pero kung ibutang mo na sa CSS mo, so parang mahirapan ka mag-call ng JavaScript mo doon the HTML side. Mas mabuti pa yung JavaScript within your HTML. That's good. Okay lang na siya. Or separate yung JavaScript mo na file. But mostly, some of the programmer, yung JavaScript nila is within the HTML file. Kasi yung JavaScript, it's more on action. It's more on action like pag-display, pag-pop up sa display, or action, or process, computation. So, it's more on JavaScript. Ang CSS kasi, it's more on design. So, in other words, pwede siya, pero medyo mahirap if we use that style na ang imuhang JavaScript is within the CSS. Pero kung ganahan ka, then you can do that. Ang pinakuan ba, pinahawd-hawd birada. Pero, I tell you, mas mahirap. Mas mabuti pa yung JavaScript on your HTML. Okay? Klaro?
Yes, sir. Program size.
Right.
Next is, can you apply, okay, the same question with Virgin, so yes. Ito. Can you apply JavaScript without the CSS or CSS3? Iba-iba pala. Can you apply JavaScript without the CSS or CSS3? You can answer that one from the group. Pwede ba daw mag-apply of JavaScript without CSS or CSS3?
Pwede, sir.
Yes, pwede. So, Bagyo. How about you, Jericho?
Pwede, sir. Pangit lang.
Eliza?
Pwede, sir.
Okay, pwede. So, as I said kanina, JavaScript is more on action. If you have computation on your page, then you can use the JavaScript. But, sa design is pangit yung page mo because wala kang CSS. So, separate kasi yan siya. Yung CSS is more on design. JavaScript is more on action. Okay, so, that's the good thing na dapat if you are a web developer, you know how to code on the CSS and you know how to code the JavaScript and also the HTML. So, yung tatlong yan, magkasama yung tatlong yan. So, mayroon pa mga madaming pwedeng i-add for that. Yung mga mga platforms na pwedeng i-add natin or mga framework. But the basic talaga in web development or mobile development using HTML5 is you know how to code in HTML, you know how to code in the JavaScript, and you know how to code or how to make CSS. So, yung tatlong yan, if you have that knowledge, that skills, and pwede ka na mag-create ng web pages or mobile application. Okay? So, we'll proceed now on the last question. So, kanina gikan ni Jericho. So, why some people prefer making CSS than using Bootstrap? Okay. Sige daw. In your point of view, nganong ang uban is ganahan pa mo gamit og CSS. That's the point now. Jericho, comparing to Bootstrap. Okay. Unsa ka ang reason? Unahan na to si Jan.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Nganong
Kasi ganun ganahan ng uban magkuhan, sir. CSS.
mas mo gamit og CSS compared to Bootstrap.
Siguro, sir, katong kuhan. Ambot nila.
Amot nila?
Magawa ka, ganang, katong pwede maka mag-grade yapon dya, sir. Mag-grading.
Yes. Oh.
Pero kuhan lang, kanang mano-mano.
Yeah. Wala, pasabot pa galing kuhan, mas if you are a programmer, ubang programmer, mas ganahan pa na they are using their own CSS than using the CSS of Bootstrap. Wala ang point dito. So nga naman, sa imong point of view, kasi depende yan sa programmer. May mga programmer na mas okay sila sa Bootstrap, then there are other programmers na mas ganahan sa CSS compared sa Bootstrap na CSS. So, nga na daw na motong question yan, no? Why some people prefer making CSS than using a Bootstrap? Okay, sige daw dyan. Balikan na ka dyan. Ano ka? Eliza.
No idea, sir.
Sige, Eliza.
Ano sir, kaning mas ma-modify nila ilang gusto na style kaysa bootstrap kay fix man siya nga ano.
Okay. So, good answer. Kasi, ganito yan siya. If you are using your own CSS, control mo lahat. Di ba? Anong gusto mong mangyari with your pages, then, ikaw na bahala sa code. But, the Bootstrap, pwede rin siya, but, you need to look into the codes na nandun sa Bootstrap. So, ang daming tingnan mo, dami mong kung tawag dyan, i-revise. But, kung from scratch ka, sa'yo galing lahat, then, good to you. Kaya di na ka malibog magsipang itaasa man mo i-change. Kasi ang Bootstrap, ang daming CSS file, sa CSS file, ang daming mga codes na nandoon. So, medyo mahirapan ka mag-trace. So, while if you are using your own CSS, then that's good thing. Ang lang din sa Bootstrap, good thing din sa Bootstrap is, if yung development mo is madalian, gusto mong within that day, matapos yung development mo, then, that's the good thing yung Bootstrap. And, meron na siyang template. Pero kung gusto mo talaga yung from your own, your design, lahat sa'yo, galing is, you need to have your own CSS. Okay? So, that is the answer of the question ni Jericho. Nansiran, Jericho?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so mas gusto mo ni Jericho na iyang project is iyang CSS. Jericho na?
Sorry. Pero prepare dyan ako, sir. Active din CSS.
Yes, mas prepare, some of the programmer, mas prepare nila ang Pero for kung yung mga yung mga companies na nasa sila yung mga client, they use different framework. Okay, so that's for the lesson 4.